Welcome to the thrilling world of the MIT Blackjack team. Get ready for a captivating journey where sharp minds and daring strategies take center stage. In the late 1970s, a group of brilliant MIT students uncovered the secret that blackjack was more than just a game of luck. It was a mathematical puzzle with the potential for big wins. As we dive into their adventure from classrooms to casinos, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more incredible stories that inspire and entertain. In the late 1970s, on the prestigious campus of MIT, students were immersed in equations, theories, and numbers that could change the world. But for one group, those numbers meant something different. For them, math wasn't just about solving problems in the classroom. They saw numbers as the key to an exciting new world, one that could lead them far from the world of textbooks to the flashing lights and intense stakes of the casino floor. The MIT Blackjack team began as an experiment, a test of skill and mental discipline. They weren't gamblers. They were math prodigies, researchers, and thinkers who saw blackjack as a game of skill, not luck. Led by recent graduate Bill Kaplan, this team would become a legend. It all started in a classroom where Kaplan lectured on probability. A few students saw the potential, realizing that blackjack wasn't just a game, it was a puzzle, and solving it could mean winning big. Bill Kaplan was the kind of person who looked at the world differently. He didn't just see numbers, he saw possibilities. Fresh out of college, Kaplan had already spent months studying blackjack, figuring out how math could change the game. To him, blackjack wasn't about chance, it was about probabilities and patterns. Kaplan knew that if they could count cards, they could flip the odds in their favor. He presented this vision to students, explaining how a well-trained team could go up against the casino and win every time. This was a bold claim, but Kaplan's confidence was infectious. He convinced his audience that with discipline, skill, and strategy, they could be unbeatable. His passion drew in a handful of curious students, setting the stage for what would become the most famous card-counting team in history. Kaplan couldn't do it alone. He needed people who understood math but also had a strong sense of focus and self-control. He carefully selected students with sharp minds and steady hands. These students weren't gamblers. They were math and engineering majors with a fascination for patterns. Among the recruits was J.P. Massar, a student with a knack for probability. Massar saw Kaplan's vision and quickly became his right-hand man. Together, they formed the core of what would soon become the MIT Blackjack team. The team wasn't just about skill, it was about trust. Each member had to be able to keep a cool head in the chaotic world of the casino, where mistakes could mean thousands lost in an instant. This wasn't just math, it was a test of nerve. Training was intense. Kaplan put his recruits through rigorous drills, testing their ability to count cards, track odds, and make quick calculations. They practiced day and night, perfecting the art of card counting until it became second nature. The training wasn't just about numbers. Kaplan taught them how to read people, to control their emotions, and to keep a low profile. They had to stay calm under pressure, keeping their expressions neutral even when they were winning big. This was no ordinary classroom lesson. It was a boot camp for the brain, preparing them to take on casinos that thrived on breaking players down. Each member became an expert, ready to take on any challenge. Card counting is more than just keeping track of numbers. Kaplan developed a sophisticated strategy, using roles that would allow them to move money without drawing attention. He divided the team into two roles: spotters and big players. Spotters would sit at tables with low bets, counting cards and signaling when the deck was in their favor. The big player would then join the game, betting high amounts and reaping the rewards. It was a brilliant system, designed to avoid detection while maximizing wins. The team practiced these roles relentlessly, learning to communicate through subtle signals: a glance, a nod, a scratch. They became like actors, playing roles to keep the casino staff in the dark. After months of preparation, the team finally made their way to Las Vegas. It was a dazzling sight, with neon lights and massive casinos lining the strip. For most people, Vegas is a place to take a chance, but for the MIT team, it was the ultimate test. They felt the rush of excitement as they entered the casino, disguises in place, prepared to face the challenge. Each team member had a role to play and a persona to adopt, keeping their true intentions hidden behind their costumes. As they sat down at the tables, they were nervous yet determined. This was the real deal. The game was on, and there was no turning back. The team's system worked perfectly. The spotters quietly counted cards, sending signals when the deck was in their favor. The big players swooped in, placing high bets and raking in chips. Within hours, the team had won thousands. The thrill of winning was addictive. The MIT team knew they were breaking the casino's rules, but they also knew they weren't cheating. They were simply using math to their advantage. Their first night was a massive success, leaving the team buzzing with excitement. They had proven that their system worked and that they could beat the house With their early success, the team realized they needed more players to keep up the momentum. They began recruiting new members, teaching them the skills and strategies that had brought them success. Each new member was trained rigorously, learning to become a part of the system without disrupting the flow. They were taught how to blend in, play their roles, and keep the operation a secret. The MIT Blackjack team was becoming a well-oiled machine, growing stronger with each new recruit. As the team's success continued, they found themselves living the high-stakes lifestyle. They stayed in luxury hotel suites, dined at top restaurants, and enjoyed the thrill of winning big money. For college students, this was an unbelievable experience. They were living like high rollers, enjoying a taste of the Vegas lifestyle, but they never lost sight of their mission. This was about more than just money. It was about proving they could beat the system. Despite the luxury, they remained focused, knowing that each win brought them one step closer to their ultimate goal. But their winning streak couldn't go unnoticed. Casinos began to see a pattern. Young, well-dressed players who seemed to win consistently. The security teams were growing suspicious, and they started tracking the team's movements. Casinos implemented new security measures, sharing information and monitoring players more closely. They were determined to stop these card counters from beating the house. The team felt the pressure, knowing that they were being watched, but they weren't ready to quit just yet. They had come too far to back down. The team gathered back at MIT, brainstorming ways to stay ahead of the casinos. They came up with new strategies, using disguises and recruiting fresh faces to avoid detection. Each member was taught to play a role, creating a backstory and personality to keep security off their trail. They became actors as well as mathematicians, adapting to every new challenge the casinos threw at them. This was no longer just a game. It was a battle of wits between the team and the casinos, and they were determined to win. Every trip to the casino now felt like walking into a high-stakes battleground. The team members felt the eyes of security watching their every move, scrutinizing even the smallest gestures and decisions. They knew that one mistake could mean the end of the operation. The casinos were doing everything in their power to catch them, from sending undercover staff to closely monitoring each of their winning streaks. One wrong move, a wrong bet, or a missed signal could mean the entire team would be exposed. Each of them had to stay composed, disguising their nerves and focusing only on the game at hand. But the tension was almost unbearable, knowing that every second they stayed at the table could be their last chance to play. Despite this, the team was determined to keep going. The thrill of the game had evolved into something far deeper than simple winnings. They were driven by the challenge of staying one step ahead of those trying to stop them. The game had now become a test of wit, composure, and courage. The team now faced a world of cameras, hidden observers, and undercover agents who were hired solely to catch card counters. They could feel the shift in the air each time they entered a casino. It was as if their every move was under a magnifying glass. The casino staff had learned the team's tactics, making their job harder. They changed dealers frequently, watched for consistent high bets, and monitored large wins. Each night became a test of adaptability. But the team pushed through. They wore disguises, adopted new personas, and developed elaborate backstories. This wasn't just about beating the odds at blackjack anymore. It was about surviving an elaborate game of cat and mouse. After each night of high-stakes play, the team would meet in secret, away from the prying eyes of casino security. They shared their experiences, discussed any mistakes, and planned adjustments for the next day. But the pressure was building. Each member now felt the weight of potential failure. The casinos were closing in, and the risk of exposure loomed large. The once thrilling game began to feel like a heavy burden. Some team members started to question if the risk was worth the reward. They weren't just risking money anymore. They were risking their reputations, their academic futures, and possibly even their freedom. The team had several close calls that nearly exposed them. Casino security had started to recognize certain patterns, and some team members had been pulled aside for questioning. The atmosphere was tense. One night, a team member was confronted by a security guard who recognized him from a previous visit. He quickly denied everything, but the moment was a wake-up call. They realized just how close they were to getting caught. Each trip to the casino now felt like a high-stakes gamble, not just for the money, but for their anonymity. They knew one wrong move could bring their entire operation crashing down. After months of success, the team's luck ran out. Casino security had finally pieced together the puzzle and identified several team members. It was the end of an era. Security staff approached them, asking them to leave and never return. The thrill of the game had vanished, replaced by the realization that their strategy had been uncovered. The team members watched as their winning streak was forcibly ended. They had played the game as best they could, but now it was time to walk away. The team disbanded, knowing that returning to the casinos would be too risky. They had reached the pinnacle of their success, but now the game was over. The pressure, the close calls, and the looming threat had taken their toll. They had outsmarted the casinos for years, but they knew that continuing would be reckless. Each member went their separate ways, returning to the normal life they had left behind. The MIT Blackjack team's story had come to an end. They had taken on the system, beaten the odds, and walked away with their winnings. But the adventure was over. The legend of the MIT Blackjack team lived on, inspiring a new generation of students. Their story became a symbol of intellect and daring, showing that with the right skills and mindset, even the greatest challenges could be overcome. Books, documentaries, and even a Hollywood film brought their story to a global audience, cementing their place in history. The team may have disbanded, but their impact remained. Students at MIT and beyond saw the Blackjack team as a reminder of what could be achieved with ambition and ingenuity. They had become more than just gamblers. They had become legends. Years later, the former members of the MIT Blackjack team looked back on their time together with a sense of nostalgia. They remembered the thrill, the fear, and the bonds they had formed through shared risks and triumphs. They had learned valuable lessons about trust, teamwork, and courage. For many of them, those days shaped their futures in ways they hadn't expected. The casinos had been their battlefield, and they had come out victorious. Each member had gone on to lead a different life, but they all shared a bond that only those who had been there could understand. They were the MIT Blackjack team, and they had made history. The story of the MIT Blackjack team serves as a testament to the power of intelligence and determination. They took on an unbeatable system and emerged victorious, using nothing but their skills and the strength of their minds. Their legacy lives on, inspiring people everywhere to challenge the status quo, to think critically, and to believe in the power of intellect. They showed the world that sometimes the impossible is possible if you're willing to think outside the box. And so, the legend of the MIT Blackjack team continues, a story of risk, reward, and the courage to beat the odds. Their journey may have ended, but the impact of their story will live on for generations. And so, the legend of the MIT Blackjack team reminds us that with knowledge, teamwork, and a fearless spirit, we can turn the odds in our favor. They prove that it's not just about winning games, it's about breaking boundaries and achieving the extraordinary. If you found this journey as fascinating as I did, be sure to like and subscribe for more thrilling tales that ignite your imagination. Thank you for joining us, and remember, the best adventures are just a click away.